Chapter 12, Lesson 6. Our objective, learn to find solutions of linear inequalities by graphing on a coordinate plane. Essential question, what are the steps to graphing a linear inequality? A graph of a linear equation separates the coordinate plane into three parts: the points on one side of the line, the points on the boundary line, and the points on the other side of the line. Here's a visual of that. The boundary line is the red line. Then you have the lighter blue, which would be the points that are greater, and the teal color, which are the points that are less than the line. So if your equation was y equals x plus 2, that would be your boundary line. Anything above the line would be greater than x plus 2. Anything below the line would be less than x plus 2. Any point on the line y equals x minus 1 is not a solution of y is less than x minus 1. Because if you have the inequality symbol less than, it means only less than and does not include equal to. In this case, you would use a dash line when you're drawing your boundary line. If you had y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1, then your equation would be graphed as a solid line because the inequality symbol means greater than or equal to. You'll see some examples of this as we go on. When the equality symbol is replaced in a linear equation by an inequality symbol, the statement is called a linear inequality. Any ordered pair that makes the linear inequality true is a solution. So let's graph this inequality y is less than x minus 1. Step 1. Graph the equation as if there was an equal sign. Y equals x minus 1. That's in slope-intercept form, so the slope is 1 and the y-intercept is negative 1. That means we start at y equals negative 1 and count up 1, right 1. Step 2 is to decide if the line should be solid or dashed. That just means we look at the inequality symbol. Because we see less than, it would be a dashed line. Step 3 is to shade. We would shade less than, below the line, greater than, above the line. So here's what this would look like. Y is less than x minus 1. So we started at negative 1 for the y-intercept, and we went up 1, 1 to the right, up 1, 1 to the right, created a dashed line. The point 0, 0 is not a solution. Our solutions are less than, so we shaded below the line. Let's look at another one. Y is greater than or equal to 2x plus 1. We start by graphing the equation 2x plus 1. M equals 2, B equals 1. Start at y equals 1 and count up 2 and then right 1. Step 2, decide if the line is solid or dashed. Because it's a greater than or equal to, it will be a solid line. And step 3 is to shade. If it's less than, it's below the line. If it's greater than, it's above the line. So here's our graph. We started at positive 1 and counted up 2, 1 to the right, up 2, 1 to the right, connected them all with a solid line. This was greater than or equal to, so we shade above the line. Continuing with another inequality. Y is less than x minus 4, so we graph the line y equals x minus 4, where the slope is 1 and the y-intercept is negative 4. So we start at negative 4 and count up 1, 1 to the right. This would be a dashed line because it's just a less than, no equal to. So there we are at negative 4, up 1, 1 to the right, up 1, 1 to the right, dashed line, and we would shade below the line because it was a less than. What if we're not in slope-intercept form? Then the first thing we need to do is get it in slope-intercept form. So we start with our equation, and we want to get y by itself, which we've done. So we start by subtracting 5x from both sides. So that brings us to 2y is less than negative 5x plus 6. And then to get y by itself, we divide by 2, tip every part again. So that y is less than negative 5 over 2x plus 3. One rule we have not talked about in a while is if you divide by a negative or multiply by a negative with an inequality, you need to flip the sign. Well, because we divided by positive 2, we didn't have to make any changes. So now we have it in slope-intercept form, so we have the information we need to put it onto a graph. So step 1, graph the equation. Step 2, decide what kind of line. And step 3, shade. So we graphed our equation, starting up at positive 3, counting down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. It was a negative, that's why we went down. And then because it was a less than or equal to, it's a solid line shaded below the graph. Here's our equation, y is greater than or equal to 4x plus 4. You can see in order to graph this, we're counting by 2's. We start at positive 4. We count up 4 over 1, which if you notice that we're partway in the middle, that's because, remember again, we're counting by 2's. So we could go up 4 over 1, or we could go up 8 over 2, or we can go down opposite 8 and 2. This would be a shade above the line because it's a greater than, and a solid line because of the equal to. And let's determine if the following points are a solution to the inequality y is greater than or equal to 4x plus 4. So if we put that back on there, we know that our solution should be above the line. So if we look at each point, A is at 2, 3. That's over here. That does not appear to be a solution. If we look at B, 0, negative 4, that's down here. That's not a solution. Negative 8, 2 appears to be a solution. And D, 0, 4 is on the line. Should be a solution. There's a way to check these. Take the ordered pairs and substitute them in. So let's start with the easy one, 0, 4. If we change y to 4 and we change x to 0, then we get 4 times 0 plus 4. So 4 times 0 is 0, so we get 4 is greater than or equal to 4. That's true. That means that it's a solution. Let's try a different one. Let's try C. 2 is greater than or equal to 4 times negative 8, which is negative 32, plus 4. And then negative 32 plus 4 is negative 28. So 2 is greater than or equal to negative 28. That is also true. If we try one that's not a solution, let's try A. That would be 3. It's greater than or equal to 4 times 2, which is 8, plus 4. 8 plus 4 is 12. So 3 is greater than or equal to 12. That is not true, so that is not a solution. So that also helps you shade if you're not sure what side you should be shading on. Just a quick reminder, what do we do to an inequality sign when we multiply or divide each side by a negative number? We flip the sign. So if it was less than, it becomes greater than. If it was greater than, it becomes less than. So that's a lot of information. Make sure you have it all filled out in your notes. Put down any questions that you have or that you can come up with related to the material. And make sure you write a good summary when you're all done analyzing your notes.